it's me, xCanadensis, and today is one of those just chatting, rambling, ranting style videos. If those aren't for you, I get it. I'm gonna jump around. I might not get directly to my point. I might not ever make it to my thesis statement, but it's okay. We're just talking. It's just meant to be like a discussion. It's fun to talk about dolls and stuff and things that are on your mind, so that's the point of these. So if that's not for you, it's totally fine. I'll see you next time. Tomorrow I think will be another doll hunt, so I know most of you guys like those. Anyway, today I wanted to talk about value in doll collecting, and probably not in the way you might think. I'm still not sure what I'm going to title this, but I think it's going to be probably just value in doll collecting. But the point of this video isn't to say, oh, well, this doll is worth more than this doll. I hate those sorts of arguments. I think they're annoying. I think they don't actually help anything. I think they just kind of make collecting, I don't know, I don't like it. And before I even start, I want to make this very clear so that I don't forget to say it. If you collect dolls solely for the value that other people put into them, for example, you really want dolls that are rare because other people will appreciate that you have rare dolls and you can brag that you have rare things, I have no problem with that. I understand where that comes from. It's the same as buying luxury cars or buying expensive shoes. It comes with like a vanity, you know, designer clothing. If you do that, no judgment. I get it, but that's not what this video is about. It's actually about the exact opposite of that, but again, I have literally no issue with you if you do that. I want to make that abundantly clear. It's cool if you do that. But I wanted to talk about why, for just the regular doll collector, or most doll collectors, why letting other people put a numeric label of value onto things is kind of ridiculous and makes collecting just like incredibly difficult. And honestly, it's like a natural gatekeep for the collecting community. So I kind of wanted to talk about it. And the thing that inspired this one, there's always something that sets me off. This one actually has been months and months and months of this, but in every single doll collecting Facebook group, specifically Bratz has had a big pop culture resurgence, so there's a lot of new doll collectors. Again, obviously I have no problem with new doll collectors. We were all new doll collectors at some point. What I have a problem with, though, is some of the things that new doll collectors do, especially concerning driving the prices up. Again, I have no problem if you want to spend $400 on a Bratz doll, by all means do it. Okay, hold on. Let me say this first. If a seller lists a doll for a ludicrous price, that's their prerogative. To me, if I were to sell certain dolls in my collection, I would list them for ludicrous prices because I don't actually want to sell them, and they have a higher value in my heart, so I wouldn't want to get rid of them, versus some other dolls, if it's like a double or something, I'll sell it for like a third of its current going rate because that doll's not worth as much to me. But to me, the value that I put in my dolls, maybe if I were to list like, I would never sell her, but this is an example. This Formal Funk Sasha was a gift from my friend Serena. I absolutely love her. She's one of my favorite Bratz dolls. I still can't believe that she was gifted to me by her, and then I had gotten her crown and her dress in a lot already. It was just, she is a magical doll for me. If I have to get rid of all my Bratz dolls, she will be one of the last ones that I keep. If I were to list her for sale, I would list her for one of those ludicrous prices if I had to, just in hopes that she wouldn't sell. And a seller is not required to list it at a price that you would buy it for. There's a lot of people that are extremely entitled in collector spaces that get really upset with sellers for listing things, and it's like, listen, I know that it sucks to see something you really want be driven up in value, but the problem isn't the sellers. The problem is the buyers. If somebody lists a doll for $400 and nobody will pay $400, the price will go down. The problem is the buyers. Scalpers don't scalp things unless there's buyers there to buy them, you know? People won't list Bratz dolls for ludicrous prices if people weren't there to buy them at the ludicrous prices, you know? So I think there's definitely an issue in, especially Bratz, with the specific dolls that get listed for very expensive. There's clearly something really uncomfortable going on there and gross. But I think it's more than the sellers. The sellers just notice that they have something that they can see that people want, and they can see that it sells for a lot of money, versus the buyers. The buyers are the problem because that's the collector community that knows better that's doing it. So I understand being like, oh, the seller's delusional. There's no way they're going to sell this doll for $400. But it's more so the buyers. I don't know why people don't blame the buyers for this. It's the buyers. If every single seller lists it for way too much and nobody ever buys it, if those sellers want to make a sale, they'll lower the price. That's how my mom got me my Gold Believix Bloom doll. For years, she was listed for over $500. Recently, she had become like closer to $1,000. I was really sad because I thought I'd never get her, but nobody was buying them at those prices, ever. There were a couple that have ever sold at $500. The rest always sold around $250. So then finally a seller listed one at the price that she always actually sells for, and she sold it instantly. That's just kind of how it is. If buyers don't buy, then the sellers will lower the price because they do want to sell their thing. They don't want to have a pile of dolls. Usually the people who are selling dolls are just random people who found it at the thrift store or found it in their basement or something. They don't want the dolls anymore. I hope that makes sense. Anyway, so we are really far from the point. But anyway, the thing that inspired this was that people in the Bratz Facebook group specifically, there's 2 Bratz Facebook groups that I'm in, and both of them have this problem. Someone will buy a doll for like $40 or something. They'll be like, hey guys, I got this magic hair Chloe. I paid $40. Did I get a good deal? First of all, why would you ask that before you bought it? Or sorry, after you bought it? Second of all, why do you care if you got a good deal or not? Ultimately, you saw that doll, you saw the $40 price tag, you decided that doll is worth $40 to me and bought it. So inherently, the value of that doll to you is $40. It doesn't matter if nobody else would pay that. It doesn't matter if that was a good deal or a bad deal. And it's just that you wanted it, you saw a price, you were like, that price is good, and you bought it for that price. That's it. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you overpaid, sorry. If you underpaid, cool. It doesn't really add much. I know as a collector, when you get, sorry, her hair got tangled in the stand. As a collector, I've been a collector for a long time, sometimes you get really rare dolls for good deals. A lot of my Bratz dolls, like her, I paid like maybe $5 for her complete, because she was in a lot. And knowing that she was rare, I was just like, awesome! Now I won't have to worry about getting her later. It's like, and again, if you ascribe value in things just based off of other people's perception of value, that's fine, but that's not what I'm talking about here. It's just, I think it's cool. Anytime I get a rare doll, when I'm excited about it, it's mostly because I knew that she would be hard for me to get, so when I get her, it's exciting, you know? And that's a big part of collecting, you know? It's kind of like the gamble of it. If I log into eBay today, will I find an interesting doll? If I go to the thrift store today, will I find an interesting doll? If I go to Target, will I find the Rainbow High doll that everyone's been looking for? If I go to this antique store, will I find the 60s Barbie? That one's really cool, I want that one. And I understand that, because definitely that influences every single doll collector. You're lying if you say that it doesn't. I love this doll, I think she's fantastic outside of her rarity, but I certainly appreciate how lucky I was to get her, because I know she's rare and I got her basically complete too, so I was really excited about that. But my point is, if I were to post her on the Bratz group just with like, I paid $5, did I get a good deal? It's just like a thinly veiled version of bragging, and I made a whole video about this last year, but I love bragging personally. I want to hear what you're excited about. When people brag, it's usually, if it's something they actually did, sometimes people just lie to brag, which is weird, but when people brag, it's usually because they want to talk about something that they're excited about, you know, they want to brag that they got a cool thing or they did a cool thing. I want to hear about what you're happy about. I want to hear about what's in your heart, you know? So I think, I think bragging is awesome. Obviously if you do it in like a excessive way. I used to have a friend that I used to talk to, and every time I would say that I got something, she would like completely go out of her way to try to like overshadow my achievement. I always thought it was weird. And there are certain ways of bragging that can be toxic. I think that one was definitely one. That one was really weird, honestly. I'd be like, I just bought this thing that I've always wanted, I'm so excited. And then she'd send me like 45 pictures of that thing, and I'd be like, okay, thanks. Of her thing, I mean. I don't know, that was always really bizarre to me. So there are like some exceptions. If you want to hear my full thoughts on bragging, I have a video. It's like ranting about not to brag or something, because personally I think bragging is awesome. I want to see your achievements, I want to see what you worked hard for, I want to hear your stories about it. I think it's cool. But to me, when you just post, did I get a good deal on this, you're just trying to ask for validation from people for something that you like already, it's so weird. Like, that's awesome that you bought that doll, but like, what does it add when you already bought it? You already own it. It's already shipping to you right now. What does it add if we tell you you didn't get a good deal? That's just gonna ruin it for you. Or if we tell you, yeah, that's about the going rate, then you're like, cool. It's just, do your research before you buy it, I guess? I don't know. I just find those posts so bizarre. My point is though, like, if you the value in anything is just the agreement between the seller and the buyer. What the seller is willing to sell it for and what the buyer is willing to buy it for. For me, my Glam Magic Winged dolls, I love them, but I am not willing to spend what they go for. I would never spend $300, $400, $1,000 each on these dolls. I think that's great if you do, but for me, that's legitimately ridiculous and, like, unfathomable. I would never do that. And it's not because I'm better than you or anything, it's just because the way that I value my dolls is different, I guess. I don't see them as worth substantially more than any other doll in my collection. I say that as someone who just spent $100 on a Glam Magic doll missing a piece. But my point is, like, they're not worth that much to me. So even though I would like to have a Glam Magic Musa doll, I just would never spend $2,000 on one. So to me, she's not worth $2,000, despite that on eBay she's worth $2,000. I hope that makes sense. So that is not the worth to me. If I got a Glam Magic Musa doll, magically, I don't know, if I found her at the thrift store or something, she would not be worth $2,000 to me. She would just be worth what I paid for her and I'd be happy about it. Or maybe she'd be worth a little bit more. Like, I'd probably consider her to be like a $100, $200 doll in my collection. But I don't know, it's like... And sometimes too, like my Pokemon card collection, I sold it recently, most of it. They're from when I was little, so they're the EX series, and those are worth more now. I love my Pokemon cards, they're nostalgic to me. I kept quite a few that were very nostalgic, like my brother and I's original decks that we used to play with, and, because we used to play competitively. I kept my favorite set, like, Pokemon cards come in, like, series, you know, I kept my favorite series, a couple of them, and I kept, like, cards that I liked, so, like, EXs that I thought were cool, my Armaldo cards, I kept... you know, the ones that were special to me, because ultimately, despite that I liked owning my Pokemon cards, they were not worth the $1,000 that they could sell for, you know? Like, one card in my collection wasn't worth $20 to me when that just one random holo card could sell for $20, so I was like, I'd rather just get rid of it then, because ultimately it's not worth that much to me. But it was worth that much to somebody else, so that's kind of where the buyer-seller agreement comes in. Those cards are worth something to me. Inherently, they did have a value and I did appreciate them, but they weren't worth as much as this other person was putting value on them, so I was like, okay, they can go. So if you see that there's a doll that you want and she sells for $400, and to you that's an insane price, but you really want that doll, I promise you, you don't have to spend $400. That's just the value that some other people have put on that thing. And that value is liquid. It could go up or down. Dolls aren't really great investments. Once the collector community is gone for them, they're not going to sell for very much. There's going to be with Monster High, this happened. The prices are going up again, but this happened really bad with Monster High. Everybody collected them, and then there was this big stagnation when the reboot happened, so everybody sold all of their, like, rare dolls, their box dolls and stuff, so the market got completely flooded and all the prices dropped by a lot. And that just happens. Right now it's going back up because the nostalgic thing is going on, but, like, 90s Barbies, almost none of them are worth anything. You can get them new in box for $30 any day of the week. Almost any of the dolls, they are worth very little, because there was a big collector community, and then they don't want them anymore, so they're just flooding the market with them. So to me, when people say they're investing with dolls, that just doesn't, I don't know. Like, even Disney limited edition dolls, when the round of people that loved them now are gone, or when they're done collecting dolls, I don't think they're going to be worth very much anymore. I think they'll probably sell for their retail value. Maybe some of them will sell a little bit higher, but I really don't think they're a great, like, investment piece. I think you should invest in something else. But again, it's totally fine if you like investing in dolls, it's fine. I just think any kind of collectible, dolls are not the one to invest in. 'Cause even if you think about it, with the Disney, this is kind of a tangent, but with the Disney limited edition dolls, most of them sell for around $400 and they retailed for around $100. If you think about that, this big fancy thing that's extremely limited, sometimes there's only like 1,000 or 2,000 of them, it's extremely limited, and you have to keep it perfectly pristine to get the full value. If there's a dent in the box, the value goes down by a lot. You have to keep this big old box, they're huge, perfect, and you have to, like, it's just, so many things could happen that are completely out of your control to the box that could destroy it. Because it's a tangible asset, you know, just like a car, a tangible asset like a car, every time you touch it, it goes down in value. So the dolls are the same way. Even if you leave them perfectly in box, they're gonna get dust on them, maybe your cat will bump against them and do a little scratch on it, or maybe your house will have like a leak and a splash gets on the cardboard, just something like that. So 4 times the value 10 years later for one of those is not really that much, considering, you know what I mean? I just don't think they're a fantastic investment, but some of them, if you had just happened to buy one of them for like $100, like it just happened to be Snow Queen Elsa, you're probably pretty happy with that investment, but most of the time I don't really think they're a great investment, but I don't want to put down anybody who likes to invest with dolls, I get it. To me though, a lot of times when people say that it's their investment, it really feels like they're just making an excuse to make non-doll collectors be like, oh, okay, I get it. Because truly with Mycene, I was thinking about it. A good deal on a Mycene doll to me used to be retail. I would not pay over retail. But then I thought about it and it's like, these dolls are almost 20 years old. If I can get them for triple the price even, brand new in box with all their accessories, that's actually a good deal. Still, I'm not going to pay $90 each for these dolls. They're not worth that to me. But when I was truly thinking about it, I was like, doll collectors are so strange because, or a lot of doll collectors or doll prices are so strange because even no matter how rare something is or no matter how pristine something is in the box, it's usually not actually worth that much compared to the original price of it. There's a few exceptions to that, but most of the time those exceptions are due to people overhyping the doll. So like the Glam Magic dolls. There are so many of these dolls in box, it's crazy. Almost every collector that has wanted them in box has been able to get them within a relatively reasonable amount of time. Until recently, obviously. Recently there's this obnoxious thing going on with them, so they're kind of hard to get right now. But it's very strange to me how common they actually are considering the collector community for them. Considering how like in vogue they are, how like, oh my god, these are the dolls to have. It's very weird to me, I don't know. But anyway, I'm gonna wrap this video up. A tight little bow. The purpose of this video is to say, do not let other people assign value to your collectibles. If you have a doll, like this beautiful Styla Dana here, if you have a doll that you love and she's super common and nobody wants her because she's really easy to get, that doesn't change what she means to you. I love this doll. I think she's awesome. I think she kind of looks like me. And I really like her. I think people need to stop focusing so much on the rarity of the dolls and instead focus on what they actually mean to them. And, you know, and again, it's different if you're collecting for value, but if you're not collecting for value, because even people who don't collect for value, people who unbox their dolls, people who play with their dolls, people who take pictures of their dolls, you always can see a bias towards the rarer ones if you look at their pictures or their videos or their displays. They always bias towards the rare ones or the ones that they're buying. They always want the ones that are more expensive, the ones that people will be jealous of, and again, there's nothing inherently wrong with that, but it's interesting because I think truly a lot of dolls just happen to be rare or happen to be well wanted, but they're not the best dolls. They're almost never the best one in the series. Sometimes they are. Sometimes, like, the Glam Magic Winx dolls I think are the best of the Mattel Winx dolls. That's why they're the most expensive ones. It does make sense, and people love this specific transformation in Winx, so I understand why they got so expensive. Not to the point that they're at, but, you know, 10 years ago they were selling for like 40 each, 50 each in box. And I thought that was, not 10 years ago. Yeah, 10 years ago. I thought that was completely ridiculous. I was like, I can't believe anyone would ever spend that much money on a doll. Like, they're just normal dolls. You could get at Toys R Us. Like, why are they selling for that much, you know? Now I spend $50 each on them incomplete out of box. So, joke's on you, Past Brooke. You could have gotten them. You could have had them. Anyway, my point is, let's try not to focus so much on what they're worth. Try to focus more on the dolls, because I know most people in the doll community actually like dolls, but just try to focus a little bit more on what they mean to you, you know? A lot of times for me, the rarer dolls can be, like, there are a lot of rare dolls, like Signature Toralei, are very meaningful to me. They're some of my most meaningful dolls, and it's not because they're the rare one, but it is kind of due to the fact that they're rare, because Signature Toralei from Monster High, I wanted her so bad for so many years, so when I finally managed to get her, and I got it, what I considered to be a good price on her, I think I paid $35 plus $10 shipping from Japan. Canada, you can always tell what's on my mind. I paid $10 shipping from Canada, so I paid around $45 for her, and she came with 2.0 Claudine, who's actually my favorite Monster High doll of all time. So because of due to the fact that she was rare, she was harder for me to get, so I had to, like, covet her for longer, and she ended up meaning more to me. So I do understand that, but I don't know, just kind of take it slow. Appreciate all your dolls, you know? Spend some time with them. And stop asking in the Facebook groups if you got a good deal. Just stop. You can just say, look guys, I got a good deal, and we'd be happy for you. But when you ask if you got a good deal, it just comes off really pompous. I don't know. People will be like, look, I got Secret Date Never for $5. Did I pay good? Like, did I get a good deal? It's like, you know you got a good deal. Stop. Any Bratz doll dress for $5 is a good deal. Chill. It's really annoying. I don't know. Anyway, I hope anything in this video had any kind of value to anybody. Value. Bringing it back. Yeah, just believe me. Value is subjective as much as it seems objective. It's extremely subjective. If a price on eBay is high, it's because eBay is a limited market and there weren't as many on eBay, or the people that are using eBay are willing to spend more. You'd be very surprised if you go out into the real world or go into other countries, for example, how much less these things are worth. There's a lot of Bratz dolls that are rare here that are really common overseas. Just take it slow. Let value be subjective like it's supposed to be, you know? Yeah, that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. For real this time. Bye.